when you're talking to yourself, make sure that you're not saying, I am this thing, right? And more that I do this thing and then I can do something else. Hi, I'm Jeff, and I lost 30 kilos 20 years ago. And in 10 seconds, I'm going to give you some hypnotic ideas to help you do the same, to lose weight and keep it off for good. Consciously, you already know what not to eat and to move more. The problem is that subconsciously you resist doing it. When you take care of the inner game, the outer game takes care of itself. The thing to avoid is it's less about the word fat and more about the words I am. That's the problem is attaching a sense of self and a sense of identity to that, because we always act in congruence with our identity. So if people will say, well, that's just not who I am, I just wouldn't do something like that. Like the whole thing about keeping weight off is a lot of it is just to do with your identity. Whether people who have a sense of identity where they're like, I'm a fit and muscular person and that is who they are. As soon as they start to sort of put on a bit too much weight, they get a little bit chubby, whatever, they just freak out, and then they start training more and they start cut out all the junk and they trim up, so they have this sort of it's often referred to as like a thermostat, where they're like their alarm bells go off and then all their motivation kicks in when they get to a certain point, because now they're out of sync with their identity, right? And then, but also the overweight people is like, as they start to lose too much weight, they feel uncomfortable in their own body. It's like I'm fat, I'm a fatty, I'm an obese person, and I'm like they're almost uncomfortable in with the compliments that they get as they start to lose weight, and then they just feel more comfortable in their fat body because that's who they are. So then they actually start to sabotage themselves and put on weight. So because they're just like, and as they sort of they just live back into their fat body, they're comfortable, So, if you don't make a shift in identity as you've lost weight, you will not keep it off.
How can you do that?
Well, the topic of this conversation is self-talk. Like the thing about self-talk, I think, is really important to understand, and we've spoken about already. Is the self-talk. It's more about a feeling. The talk is more about feelings than words, and that's why you'll get a book full of affirmations, and people will say, I am wonderful, I am wonderful, or whatever it is you're supposed to do when you look in front of the mirror and talk to yourself. But it's not like, the fact is you can be saying all those words and feeling something different, and the feeling is the thing that's going to make the difference. So you have to connect to a feeling. Like even if you were just silent in your own mind or out in the world and you're just staring at yourself in the mirror or something, and then just thinking through, even just thinking emotionally, you don't have to think with words. You can think just try and attach yourself to a particular sense of something. And it has to be believable. That's why if you sit there and say things you don't really believe to yourself, about yourself, it's just not going to connect. And it's going to cause an internal tension and friction that just makes you walk around feeling confused, and disillusioned with the whole thing. So you have to start by connecting to the tiniest positive thing that you can believe, and let's say connecting to it, and then cultivate that. But language is also very important, right? So say, for example, as someone is losing weight, right? You can have an identity as I'm fat, and then here's me trying a diet, and then that has a whole sense of feeling around it too, and you'll intuitively know what that is. But then instead of having that one, that sense of I'm fat, I usually fail, here I am just trying another stupid diet again, that to sort of do your best to sort of shift and connect into the sense of like, I am losing weight. I am working on my health. I am working on my body. And because that's true, right? You're working on it. Right. So, I can believe that. It's not to pretend that like I am skinny and I am, I'm exactly where I want to be. And then, because your body just, your inner mind just says, oh, no, that's not true. That's obviously not true. Look at you. Right. So, but to shift into that I am working on it, and to feel that sense, that little spark of identity in that, like I'm a person who works on these things. I'm a person who's getting there. So your identity, it doesn't shift in one big foul swoop. It changes in degrees. But yeah, I mean, even just being aware of the fact that you are attempting to shift your identity is a huge thing, because people, like I said, people will lose 30 kilos or more, and then like their identity didn't shift at all because they weren't thinking about it. They still just felt, they lost all the weight, they got all the way to their goal weight, but then they still just felt fat because they've held that identity for so long. They've never actually taken the time to go and look at inside themselves, to that part of themselves, and even have an intention of shifting something like that. So because a lot of the time, without an intention to shift it, it won't shift. But the thing is, with an intention, with an understanding and an intention, these things naturally start to shift. With the right awareness and intention, you can start to shift your identity into a place that will naturally start to inspire action in the places that you want. So that's just one idea. So subscribe, like if you liked it, hit the notification bell, and if you keep asking yourself, why do I keep overeating? Click right here.